unusual techla. All right, so good. Good morning, everyone. Let me welcome everybody to this unusual meeting. Our techla for this year has been in partnership with all the faculties of veterinary medicine. We started this year with University of Ibadan. The Professor Ola Davis was here to usher us into cutting-edge knowledge within the veterinary sector. We also took on University of Jos, and the last TECLA we held this year was in partnership with University of Maiduguri, where we're discussing cutting-edge technology in aspect of using high-tech equipment for diagnosis, improved diagnosis in the veterinary practice. Today, we're doing something slightly different. We have a partnership with Kersia. Kersia is the leading water system. Right, so I need to mute everybody just a moment.
It should be either 11 or 12 terabyte.
If you can, so backend, okay, now I see that. See that I need to disable people from unmuting themselves. All right, fantastic. So Kersia is a leading company in Ireland. Am I correct?
Correct. That's very correct, Femi. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. And he's going to be taking the bulk of the time. And in water chemistry.
Yeah.
Right.
Water disinfection chemistry.
Water disinfection chemistry. They've developed quite a handful of things that helps both humans and farmers. And he is going to be educating us on those technology. But before we begin, I want to just take a little census on what our knowledge is in terms of biofilms. For those of us who are on farms, are veterinarians who manage activities on the farm, and biofilm is an issue. Can you just raise up your hand? Let me just take a small census, more like our pre-quiz. This is not going to be really like a pre-quiz. This will just be more like an experience sharing. How big is the biofilm problem on farms, and what are the effects? Well, veterinarians were experts in this, but I just wanted to get our idea on how big this is and what we think the effects are on farms before we eventually introduce our hub experts for today. So if you don't mind, you can just raise up your hand. All right, so Dr. Fatima, let me ask you to unmute. Dr. Fatima Audu, okay, so I happen to know you. You're in Vetco Diagnostic. So, and one of the leading veterinary outfits in Kaduna, one of the states in Nigeria, solving huge farmers' problem in Kaduna. So Dr. Fatima, you're unmuted. If you don't mind, we also want to see your face. If you can, turn on your video and back and can you spotlight her. How big is fantastic. How big is the biofilm problem in Kaduna?
Good morning.
Yep.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's a big problem for poultry farmers. We have issues of salmonellosis mostly. And I think it rises from people not knowing the best way to handle their water, maybe like water sanitization and all that.
Yeah.
So that is basically what's bringing about the biofilm. It's a big problem here in Kaduna.
And that's something that we know for a fact, that any farm that currently isn't utilizing a water disinfection program, that biofilm presence is no doubtably there. And also then the fact that these biofilms can harbor the likes of your salmonella and offer a greater level of protection, giving them a really good home in your drinker lines. And hence why we're here today to have this conversation on continuous water disinfection and the benefits and the positives it will have for farm profits, human health, and overall animal health.
Thank you. So Shane, I know you have an hour. So let me just get a brief of how big, because I know as a vet, 16 years now in the field, and I know it's a big problem, but I wanted people to just confirm. Grace Samuel, you were raising up your hand. So let me ask you to unmute. How big is the biofilm problem? I know it's also a problem in humans. Okay, Grace Samuel, Grace Manuel, you brought down your hand. You were raising up your hands initially. You brought it down. I'm asking you to unmute. I just need two more persons to tell us how big the biofilm issues are on farms. On pipes, for those of us consulting for farms or having farms who has battery cages, your overhead tanks, how clean are the waters that flow through those pipes, and what effect does it have on the production or the productivity of the livestock on those farms. So two hands were raised. Just brief. Agbaton, I want you to talk. I know you have you consult for farms. You own a laboratory also. Let me ask you to unmute. So I'm asking you to mute. Oladapo Agbaton, Dr. Oladapo Agbaton. I know you run a laboratory that does tests for farms. You want to say something? Okay, I'm asking you to unmute. Looks like you're driving, but you can say something. Okay, looks like he's driving too, but I see another hand raised.
Good morning, speaking to us all the way from environment. Talking about laboratories, water analysis, what we see with water as with poultry farms and all. We have discovered that water has been a serious issue that most poultry farmers don't take cognizance of because they don't pay for it immediately, they don't cost it, and they don't also take care of this water that these birds take. Water has been a source of disease to most of our birds. The same water as well, when we don't sanitize them or take care of our water lines or water tanks, biofilm builds up. And this biofilm help hide bacteria that later haunt our birds. Just trying to put it in the wrap. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I love what you just said. Farmers don't pay for it immediately, but they pay for it eventually. Right, and that's very instructive. Okay, so Dr. Omotayo, a very senior veterinarian practicing in Lagos. I saw her hands up, so I'm asking you to unmute, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Very well, madam. How big is
Okay,
the
good morning,
problem?
everybody.
Good morning.
Yeah, I registered for this talk because I'm more concerned about the human aspect of it. You know, you dig a borehole and water is so clean, not smelling, and just after a few years, everything just changes. The water has a film over it and it's not really smelling nice. And it's a worry, not just for our livestock, but for we human beings. I mean, what do? You now resort to buying water when you have a borehole that you dug for such an amount. So I'm really interested to know what can be done about it for my own safety, not just for my animals. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good to hear that. I was doing a calculation with my wife just last night. So we received some of the Aquatabs products that we imported. We received it yesterday. And then I was calculating with my wife that we bought Seaway bottled water. I don't know if Shane knows what Seaway bottled water is. It's around 19 to 20 liters of water that we buy. And my family consumes like 7 of it, one per day. And each one is around 1,000. In Abuja, it's 1,250 for a bottle of Seaway water. So we buy 7 to go. So I was just running the calculation as to what savings one could save if only you can drink your tap water. In Nigeria, we cannot.
Yeah.
And I think the sentiment is across the board. I can't remember the last time I drank tap water. So we've been buying water. And I hope, Shane, you'll be able to help us solve it.
Yeah, and that's why I'd like to elaborate a small bit just before we start the presentation, that with the use of the Aquatabs chemistry, the huge benefit is the fact that we can actually consume the water for lifelong human consumption. So it's very beneficial. Not only are we disinfecting the water for our birds on our farm, but we're also disinfecting the water for our home, allowing our family and our kids to have access to safe drinking water. So that's really an important fact that we must state at the very beginning, that we can assure lifelong human consumption with the use of the Aquatabs chemistry.
All right. So if your animals consumes it, with these, humans can also consume it.
Yes.
So I think without much ado, we would just want to welcome Shane. You have the next 45 minutes.
Yeah,
after
sure.
we will dive into questions and answers. As I told you before this meeting started, that this is a team of veterinarians. So also they understand these things. They understand the problem.
Understandable.
We've been in our own way solving the issue, but sometimes some problems like this could overwhelm us because farmers needs a much more sustainable way of managing it, and it's also they're also looking at how cost effective it will be. So within the next 45 minutes, we'll just allow you share your screen, share the stage with us, and see what we can grab.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, I suppose I begin with introducing myself to those of you who've joined late. My name is Shane Stevens. I work for a company called Kersia. I'm the business development manager here for Kersia, and also the Aquatabs In-Line and Aquatabs chemistry technical knowledge expert at disinfecting drinking water on pig and poultry farms globally. So let's begin, because I appreciate that we have 45 minutes left. And can you see that, Femi?
Yes, we can see, but maybe you should put it on a presentation mode.
If I could get that.
I think at the bottom of your screen, before the minus sign. Yep, exactly.
Perfect. Now. So we're here today to speak with you guys on our Aquatabs In-Line and our Aquatabs flow systems, and ultimately our Aquatabs chemistry in general for use for disinfection of drinking water on poultry and pig farms, and also in the home. So the Aquatabs In-Line, the pinnacle of water disinfection. I always like to start on this particular slide here was the instruction for installation. And it just gives everyone a good overview of our system installed in the field and how we actually install it in the farm. So we install it on a bypass system, as you can see here. And there's a few points that we need to understand before we install the system. We understand, is the source of water municipal? Is it borehole? How the water travels through the farm. And then also we like to install a system on a reasonably accessible point, ideally beside your medicator, your proportioner, for ease of access and for turning off the system during vaccinations and medication periods. But this is just a brief overview: direction of flow, municipal or borehole, and then ultimately installing the system on a bypass system. The Aquatabs In-Line, the operation, how it works. So as you can see, the Aquatabs In-Line has no need for electricity, no moving parts, no measuring or mixing of mother solutions, no calibrations, no expensive pumps, and zero maintenance. Music to your customers' ears, in particular larger organizations and larger commercial farms who have many people working for them, that now we can offer them a solution that's super easy, super simple, and super effective. It's on a simple bypass system, as you can see here. And the reason for this is we need to be able to isolate the Aquatabs In-Line during periods of medication and vaccination, hence the need for the bypass. This is the In-Line system, our cartridge and our housing unit. The critical operational parameters. The critical operational parameters of our Aquatabs In-Line are the operational pressure, a maximum of 5 bar pressure and a minimum of 1 bar pressure. We need to take this into consideration because at the top of the Aquatabs housing unit, as we can see here, this black device, this is the safety release valve. This is a mechanism that we install on the Aquatabs In-Line in the event of a runaway pump or a rapid increase in municipal water pressure, just to protect the cartridge and to protect the housing unit. Flow rates, maximum of 50 liters per minute flow rate. So we must consider how much water we're consuming on a daily basis and the peak consumption hours on our farms. The peak consumption hours are generally daylight hours, and then we work out the formulation and what our liters per minute flow rate is. Myself and Femi can help you on this. There's no need to worry. And if we exceed our 50 liters per minute, all that happens is that water passes through the Aquatabs in-line system much too quickly. And all that happens is the Venturi is just not able to applicate the chemistry efficiently enough or effectively enough. So we must remember maximum 50 liters per minute flow rate. Critically important that we install downstream of ultraviolet lights or softener systems, if this is the case on some of our larger operations. We need to ensure this to maximize the efficacy of our chemistry and to ensure that we're doing a good job for your customers. Because all that happens is that ultraviolet light and softener systems may negatively impact the chemistry, and we then will be uncertain of if we're doing a good enough job. So we must ensure that we're installed downstream. Water flow direction, a very simple understanding. On the housing unit, there's a direction of flow arrow, but we can't see it in this picture, but it's a simple indicator that we follow. Ensure the arrow is pointing in the flow of water on your farm. A very important, and cannot overemphasize this enough, for each and every install of your Aquatabs in-line, we require a small non-return valve to be installed downstream. This protects the system from water hammer occurrence. Water hammer does not occur on every system, but we do advise adding a non-return valve to each and every install because they're relatively cheap and straightforward to install. Food grade grease and pipe lube on the O-ring. So there's an O-ring on the top of the cartridge. We applicate a small portion of food grade grease here to ensure that we're protecting the seal and also for the ease of use and maximizing customer experience, that they can get that cartridge on and off easily. And one thing to note here is that when we want to replace a cartridge or change a cartridge, we just turn off incoming water, depressurize the system, and you can open the locking ring with your hand, and you can also tighten with your hand. So there's no need for tools. Everything is hand tight. With the Aquatabs in-line system, we have a minimum flow rate of 10 liters per minute. So that means then that this is only going to serve larger farms, but we have a solution at the end of this presentation for those of you who have got smaller farms, maybe family farms or individual and independent farms. The Venturi housing, how it works. The Venturi housing is the black piece of apparatus that we can see here. This is our Aquatabs in-line housing unit. And this is where all the magic happens. The Venturi allows the exact percentage of water enter our Aquatabs in-line cartridge, dissolving our TCCA tablets. Once dissolved, producing hypochlorous acid and treating water at 2 to 3 parts per million. It's a plug and play system. Once the tablets dissolve, simply replace the cartridge. So really, really effective at reducing complexity on the farm for your customers. And all they need to ensure is that we have 100% water flow through, that we have tablets in our cartridge, and we're efficiently and effectively disinfecting drinking water that's certified for lifelong human consumption, positively impacting farm profits, human health, and overall operation of the farm in terms of efficiency. Cartridge dissolving. This is a very good example of our transparent cartridge that we can clearly see the tablets are dissolving in this canister. This cartridge is approximately at 50% of its entire capacity. So it's a monitoring exercise only. So a visual monitoring exercise only. And this is the thing with our Aquatabs in-line, that when we designed the system, we designed the Aquatabs in-line to operate in the most isolated regions of the world for people with the least amount of education. And this was to eliminate human error. And we've achieved it with this system. One cartridge will treat a very minimum of 360,000 litres of water, a phenomenal figure, or the entire life occupancy of 45,000 broiler chickens or 500 fattening pigs, meaning we have a metric of measure to be able to demonstrate to our farmers the cost per quarter, the cost per 6 months, the cost per flock, or the cost per annum that it will take to do a continuous water disinfection package with our fully automated, ultra low cost Aquatabs in-line system. Monitoring residual HOCl, we generally use a digital hypochlorous meter, a digital hypochlorous test meter. And What we've started to do now is we've started to advance and develop an ultra-sensitive test strip to replace this costly piece of equipment. So very soon, in the next few weeks, we should have an ultra-sensitive test strip to offer you and your customers. And once we've installed Aquatabs In-Line and we've achieved residual HOCl at the end of line, we can then assure your customers two things: water that is free from microbial content, pipes that are free for biofilm, and water that is certified for lifelong human consumption. And we can concrete all of this through lab microbiological analysis. But with these systems, be it a digital hypochlorous test meter or be it a test strip, we can assure you that each and every one of your customers' employees can test for end-of-line residual. And once we have that end-of-line residual, we then know for certain that waters are safe on our farm and that we know that there is no biofilms harbored within the interior of our piping systems, ensuring our animals are consuming human quality drinking water, maximizing water intakes, increasing feed intakes. And what we see then is improved daily live weight gains, improved food conversions efficiencies, and reduced mortality due to a reduction in percentage of pathogen exposure to our animals, meaning that we're positively impacting animal health, positively impacting farm profits, and also positively impacting human health by reducing the milligrams of antibiotic used on our farms. Overall, doing a great job for our customers. The Aquatabs In-Line instruction video, once we share this presentation, I'm not sure if this is going to play, but it'll absorb too much time because it's approximately 7 to 8 minutes long. So what we will do is, in the appreciation of time, we will share this video with each and every one of you. We will send it to your email. Farmer Alert can do this, and it displays, and it's an instructional video on how the system works, how it installed, and it will recap on what we've discussed today. This is the system that I had mentioned for those of you who are below your 15 or below your 10 liters per minute flow rate, so below the capacity or the parameters of the Aquatabs In-Line. And as you can see, this is a very clever piece of technology that Farm Alert stock. We supply your customers with the bespoke ball cock valve and arm, and then this is the Aquatabs flow device. Works on the same unique principles as the Aquatabs In-Line, and these are no electricity yet again, no moving parts, no measuring or mixing of mother solutions, no calibrations, no expensive pumps, and zero maintenance, making water disinfection super easy and simple for each and every one of your customers. In particular, no calibrations, no measuring and mixing of harmful chemistries, be it H2O2 or sodium hypochlorite, that we have everything concealed in our cartridges. And this is very similar to the Aquatabs In-Line. We can see the tablets within the housing unit of our Aquatabs flow. Once the cartridge is dissolved, once the tablets dissolve, simply replace the cartridge. And all we do is then remove and click off the Aquatabs flow 24 hours in advance of the vaccination or medication program. Super simple, super easy, and the same protocol is used to measure residual hypochlorous acid. And with this system, it's applicating currently approximately 2.5 ppms of HOCl to this header tank, doing a phenomenal job. So let's reiterate, this is a system that we can use from 0 liters up to 10 liters per minute flow rate on farms where Aquatabs In-Line may not be suitable. So we're offering for large commercial, larger integrated integrators, and also for the smaller operation or independent family farms. The chemistry, Aquatabs chemistry. Within our Aquatabs cartridge, TCCA tablets, once dissolved in water, producing hypochlorous acid, which is the active biocide in our chemistry, killing all of the microorganisms. And as we can see here, this is a neutrophil in the human body that's shooting hypochlorous acid and consuming the germ. And the most marvelous thing about our chemistry is that our own human bodies produce hypochlorous acid to fight infection in the body and defend against invasive pathogens. So we've harnessed Mother Nature's safe, non-toxic biocide in our tablets. HOCl is phenomenal killing power, and because of this, the reasons why we have this phenomenal killing power and phenomenal efficacy is that hypochlorous acid is a similar chemical structure to H2O, meaning that it's a neutrally charged molecule, and it's able to pass through the cell wall in a similar manner to water or H2O. And with this then, passing through the cell wall in a similar manner to H2O gives us that Trojan horse effect and killing microorganisms from the inside out, meaning that biofilms, germs, and pathogens cannot differentiate between HOCl and H2O, allowing that hypochlorous acid to pass through that cell wall, giving us that unique Trojan horse effect and killing microbial content. And with residual hypochlorous acid at the end of the line, we can assure you water that's free from microbial content and pipes that are free from biofilm, because germs and biofilms and pathogens cannot live in the presence of hypochlorous acid. And an interesting fact here about hypochlorous acid, ladies and gentlemen, is that in the past 100 years of research and data on HOCl, one reported case of learned pathogen resistance against the chemistry, meaning that we don't need to rotate chemistries, we don't need to stock several different chemistries, because you cannot learn resistance to something you cannot see. So HOCl is providing the broadest level of efficacy and the broadest spectrum, killing and effective against mycobacteria, bacteria, viruses, spores, fungi, yeast molds, and biofilms. So we're providing a far greater level of efficacy and doing the best job possible for your customers. Hypochlorous acid. Why use hypochlorous? It's the most widely used disinfectant for drinking water. For the past 40 years that we've manufactured this chemistry now, we've just disinfected over 40 billion liters of water in 2023, which has entered the human body, showing you the killing power and the ability of the chemistry and how versatile and easy to use it is at a very low cost. As we mentioned, TCCA is the active ingredient in our Aquatabs In-Line cartridge. Once you dissolve in water, produces hypochlorous acid. Yet again, effective against mycobacteria, bacteria, viruses, fungi, spores, yeast molds, and biofilm. It's the key features to take away from the chemistry are that it's fast acting, it's effective in dirty conditions, perfect for farms, near neutral pH, meaning that we're maximizing the health and safety on the farms and we're not introducing customers to harmful chemistries that may lead to harmful and in some cases, critical accidents. The stability of the product, because it's a neutrally charged molecule, it sits very stable in our water, making our water safe and keeping it safe. It's not highly reactive like chlorine dioxide, and it provides a far greater level of efficacy. And as we said, it's effective against mycobacteria, bacteria, viruses, spores, yeast molds, and fungi. Customers' needs, requirements, proven efficacy, proven results. Aquatabs In-Line, pinnacle of water disinfection. Are we really doing what our customer wants? As professional veterinarians, we always ask ourselves the question, are we actually doing what our customer wants, and are we serving their needs correctly? And with the use of our Aquatabs In-Line system, and once we establish residual HOCl at the end of line, we want to be able to assure them that we're reducing antibiotics on the farm. Once we have that residual HOCl at the end of line, we can assure you two things: water that's free from microbial content, pipes that are free from biofilm. And with this then, we're reducing our animals' exposure to harmful pathogens and germs, reducing subclinical infection, ensuring there's no biofilms harbored within our drinker lines, and overall then reducing the milligrams of antibiotics used to produce a kilogram of chicken meat, ultimately positively impacting human health by ensuring that we're reducing antibiotic usages and also then not occurring antibiotic resistance or aiding to antibiotic resistance in humans. They want to see their animals grow faster. Once we've established residual HOCl at the end of line, we can assure them that their pathogen exposure and germs have reduced and that their water is fit for human consumption. With this then, it allows their animals to utilize their nutrition for protein production and not unnecessary immune load caused by subclinical infection, resulting in the average daily live weight gain of their animals increasing, so their animals reach their target weight much more quickly than they're consuming contaminated drinking water. They want to reduce the risk. So with this risk, in terms of using harmful chemistries, we remove that varying factor and we remove harmful chemistries from the farm, ensuring that their staff and their operators are safe carrying out water disinfection practices. They want to reduce time. Not only do we want to reduce times in terms of animal husbandry, but we're reducing time that the animal spends on the farm. Improved daily live weight gains ensures our animals reach target weights much quicker, reducing overall time on the farm, increasing farm profits, and overall improving animal health. They want to reduce complexity, so no more measuring or mixing of mother solutions, no more calibration on pumps, no more seeing, are the pumps working and how do we fix them? Removing that varying factor with the Aquatabs in-line system and the Aquatabs flow, zero maintenance, music to our customers' ears. They want to feel assured and confident. For the past 40 years, Kersia have been disinfecting human drinking water, and last year alone, 40 billion litres which entered the human body and certified for lifelong human consumption. You get no greater assurance and confidence from working with a company who specializes in water disinfection. And now we are regarded as technology experts in biofilm due to our hospital grade surface disinfectants and also our work in the field in terms of water disinfection for humans, working very closely alongside World Health, UNICEF, Red Cross in humanitarian disaster and emergency needs. This is a very good trial that we ran back in Malaysia on a large 90,000 bird trial. And you'll always get the customer who will say, once they smell an Aquatabs in-line cartridge or they see it, oh, this is a standard chlorine, but we can assure you it's not, simply because we know it's a pH neutral chemistry. And what the difference between your Aquatabs chemistry, which is your HOCl, is that it is a part of the chlorine umbrella, but a different species which exists at neutral pH. And in this trial, we replaced sodium hypochlorite with our Aquatabs chemistry, and the results were phenomenal. We can see from the proven biofilm control of the Aquatabs chemistry in comparative to your sodium hypochlorite, which has no proven efficacy against biofilms, we achieved an extra 260 grams of body weight in the same 29-day rearing period. Sodium hypochlorite or calcium hypochlorite, in this case sodium hypochlorite, versus your Aquatabs in-line chemistry, we achieved 260 grams extra body weight. And this was simply because when we achieved residual hypochlorous acid, we've done a much better job of assuring biofilm control, reducing subclinical infection on the farm to an all-time low, ensuring then that these animals are able to convert and process their nutrition for protein production and not for unnecessary immune load, proven and backed in our food conversion, where we see 8-gram improvement in our food conversion. And just a stark reminder here just about how much, how quickly the ROI is on installing Aquatabs in-line. On this one crop of birds, we've seen an 8-gram improvement in food conversion. And if you were to multiply this out over a 25,000 broiler house, it would be a saving of 2 tons of feed over the 29-day period. Not only are we getting better growth rates and heavier birds, but we're also becoming much more efficient in saving feed. And if you were to replicate this on your 25,000 broilers, it would be a 2-ton saving. And the most remarkable part of this study was that we've seen a 1.9% reduction in mortality, meaning we've seen less clinically sick animals. And with less clinically sick animals, we then would see a reduction in medication, a reduction in antibiotics. So we had less milligrams of antibiotics per kg of chicken meat produced, overall positively impacting animal health, but ultimately we're no longer contributing to antimicrobial resistance, and we're reducing our contribution to antimicrobial resistance in humans. So a phenomenal figure, 1.9% reduction in mortality, and overall reducing the milligrams of antibiotic used per kilogram of chicken meat produced. And on this study, we saved the farmer over 3,888 euros in extra weight for 90,000 birds. So we earned the farmer an extra 3,888 euros in earned performance in the birds, as in better daily live weight gain, improved food conversion. So from the minute our Aquatabs chemistry was implemented onto this farm, we earned the farmer an extra 3,888 euros in a 29-day rearing period by switching from standard sodium hypochlorite to a proven biofilm control product, as in Aquatabs chemistry. This is another one of our local farms who was using our Aquatabs where we're serving 42,000 broilers on a 31-day occupancy and 700 kg of extra deadweight chicken meat. That reflects back to our Malaysian study, where these birds just become far more efficient at converting their nutrition due to the reduced exposure to harmful pathogens, and that we can assure the customer that there's no biofilms or germs at the end in their drinker lines, simply confirmed using residual HOCl. And in this study, we actually saved them €333 on their hygiene bill, removing organic acid and replacing hydrogen peroxide with Aquatabs. As you can see here, our Aquatabs In-Line system, very standard system, very versatile, as you can see, can be installed in a multitude of different ways. Water flow enters in via the pipe here, flowing through our Aquatabs. This is our bypass system. We've got 100% flow through the system here, and we can clearly see tablets present in the cartridge. Once we want to carry out our medication or vaccination program with the above pumps, we simply open the bypass, close the bypass here, and this is the non-return valve that we mentioned that needs to be installed on each and every install. And once we're disinfecting drinking water on this farm, we're ensuring that no harmful pathogens or germs can be harbored within the filtration system here, as you can see, and ensuring that no biofilms can be present within the drinker lines. And the one thing that we must remember is to educate farmers who are not currently disinfecting drinking water, that our drinker systems provide the perfect environment for germs, pathogens, and biofilms to grow. You must remember that we have darkness, moisture, and heat, providing the perfect incubator for biofilms to grow. And as a really interesting stat is that biofilms have the ability to grow by approximately 1 centimeter a day, 1 centimeter per day, and also either a gram-negative or positive bacteria can enter into that drinker line and formulate a biofilm. And then also the fact that biofilms have the potential to harbor harmful pathogens and germs, share their learned resistance, and when we're using our antibiotics or medications in the drinker lines, all that happens is through biofilm's ability of quorum sensing, you're killing the top layers of the biofilm, consuming dead genetics. The biofilm then consumes its own dead genetics, learning resistance, and then seeding and dispersing mutated pathogens. And that cycle keeps going and going and going. As we see, our birds are really healthy, and then all of a sudden they drop off, loose litter, high mortality. With the use of the Aquatabs In-Line, removing water quality is a varying factor on the farm and ensuring that we're maximizing animal health, maximizing farm profits, and also maximizing human health, as in reducing our milligrams of antibiotics used per kilo of chicken meat produced. Field installs and the Aquatabs in the field. This is a very good picture of describing how versatile and easy it is to install our Aquatabs in the field, and that it can be adapted to many different scenarios, just like a chameleon. We can see here the system is installed on a 10,500 finisher pig farm. This is serving the drinker nipples. Then ultimately here we can see 110,000 broilers being served off these two Aquatab In-Lines, one on each system, or 155,000 on each system. And we can see it just gives us a great understanding that we can install Aquatabs In-Line anywhere. Cleanliness of animal troughs. Reports have been seen specifically from beef farms that the In-Line install has greatly reduced the presence of algae in troughs as far as 1.5 kilometers from the point of installation, even without manual cleaning. This trough here is very close to my home. We just went out in the beef cattle and removing them from their paddock. I brought a digital hypochlorous test meter, and in this trough, it's 1.5 kilometers from the Aquatabs In-Line system. We had a residual HOCl of 0.6 ppm here. And for those people on beef farms, we're closing that age-old biosecurity gap on the farm, removing and eliminating algae from troughs and encouraging greater water intakes in our animals. And there's one thing we know for a fact, that if we can improve water intakes in our animals, we will improve feed intakes. And that was shown in our Malaysian study, where we've seen a greater water intake, greater feed intake, resulting in a greater average daily weight gain, and ultimately improving food conversion, because our animals are able to process and utilize their feed for protein production and not for unnecessary immune support that's caused by pathogens and biofilms being present in our drinker lines. As again, we see pictures of the installs, algae-free troughs, very happy customers. And this is for those of you veterinarians who are operating in the ruminant field, that we can disinfect water on suckler farms, we can disinfect water on beef farms, doing an ultimately better job for our customers, closing that age-old biosecurity breach and ensuring that water quality is no longer a varying factor. And with residual HOCl at the end of line, we're maximizing our animals' genetic potential that can be achieved through water quality by simply installing an ultra low cost, fully automated disinfection system like our Aquatabs In-Line. Through Farm Alert and Kersia, we will be able to aid you guys in running farm trials, ensuring that we're doing our control samples, we're looking at data and being able to provide you guys with performance indicators, which include water quality, animal health as in mortality, antibiotic usage and food conversion, animal performance, and any other key performance indicators. We'll work very closely in the Farm Alert team on being able to construct SOPs that you guys can implement for your customers to show the measurable efficacy. Everything that we do here at Aquatabs is proven through microbiological analysis and proven data. Most important. And that's it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Happy to take questions from people. And we really look forward to helping grow and support your businesses. And yet again, thanks for giving me the time to present to you on this seminar today. Thanks.
Right, a brilliant job, Shane.
Thanks.
I have a couple of requests, but I want to maybe take questions from our audience. We have the Aquatab In-Line. Oh, I need to
bring it in front of your chest.
Background. Yes, just a moment. I know what to do. I need to remove the virtual, make it none. All right, fantastic.
How are we going on time?
Yes, very well. So I think it's time to ask questions. If you have any question you want to ask, you can just simply raise up your hand or type it in the chat box and we can get it resolved immediately. So we have the Aquatab In-Line already with us. This is the housing unit.
Yep.
Aquatab housing unit.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then we'll have the cartridge attached to the housing unit. That's correct, Shane?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Right.
That's your Aquatabs In-Line cartridge. And a really interesting fact here, Femi, is that our cartridges come in cases of 6, as you see. And in that case of 6 cartridges, we have the amazing ability to disinfect over 2 million liters of water per 6 cartridges. So you can carry 2 million liters of water disinfection in your hands to your customers. You could not do that with any other liquid chemistries. That's the phenomenal, sustainable part of our Aquatabs In-Line, and overall a very safe chemistry, pH neutral, non-corrosive with any surfaces or equipment. So ultimately doing a great job for our customer and not putting them in harm's way.
So if I get you correctly, just if a farmer has these and these, 360,000 liters of water can be disinfected.
Yes.
But more importantly, if water passes through this disinfection system, the pipes, there won't be any biofilm buildup.
No, we can assure you that once we have residual HOCl at the end of line, that we're carrying out the best job possible at biofilm control, and we can prove that through microbiological analysis in the lab. Once we have residual HOCl, 0 microorganisms.
So let me reiterate that. Once you have this installed, what through this system does maybe 2 things. Probably reduce almost to 0 the harmful microorganisms in the water, making it very safe for your birds. But more importantly, it clears out the biofilm buildup.
Yes.
Correct.
And a really important piece of information that we need to clarify: if we don't pre-clean our pipes when we're installing Aquatabs In-Line, there's a process, and it's called the hypochlorous lag period, and it can vary. So meaning when you install Aquatabs In-Line, it can take 2 to 3 weeks before you actually achieve residual HOCl. And there's two varying factors in this: the amount of microbial content is in our water, and also the amount of biofilm buildups in our drinker lines. Because Aquatabs In-Line is ultra low dosing chemistry, it chips away at the biofilm and your microbial content. And as we say, it can take 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how much microbial content and biofilms are within your drinker lines. But ultimately, we're adding that extra layer of biosecurity to the farm and ensuring no harmful pathogens or germs can be coming from our boreholes or our wells.
All right, so I have Dr. Attack Base. I'm asking you to unmute so that you can ask your question. Okay, I'm asking you to mute, Doctor. Dr. Abese.
He's outside the car, by the looks of it.
Okay.
He's back.
Did you intentionally raise up your hand or you're still busy? Okay, all right, good.
You're muted.
So can you unmute?
Yep.
Yes, thank you very much. Wonderful presentation. I think you touched the best part of my, let me say, the line I'm interested in, which is basically poultry. My question is, now, if we have this installation, I know we give lots of medication, and sometimes the medication goes as far as blocking nipples, causing some impurities and let's say causing some algae within the line. How do this Aquatab function on these lines? Because before now, our pattern we use is to use maybe CID clean and add to the water, leave it overnight, and to help to remove the fumes from the pipe. Then use heavy flush water to flush. I would see your system now. I know it's good, but I don't want to know how it goes impurities from the line and the nipples.
That's a really good question. And with the use of continuous water disinfection using our Aquatabs chemistry, we can assure you your pipes are free from biofilm. And with this then, when you're applicating your vaccinations, your medications, your vitamins, it ensures that there's no biofilms there to utilize those products as biofilm foods. And what happens is on undisinfected systems, those particular products, biofilm utilize them like food. And that encourages rapid growths. And hence we see then this sloughing. In terms of biofilm releasing and seeding and dispersing, we regard that as sloughing. And during periods of applicating any type of product into your line, it acts as a biofilm food, rapid growth. Then the biofilm starts to slough and block drinker nipples, reduce water flows through drinker nipples. And with the use of the Aquatabs In-Line, we can assure you that this will no longer happen. Because when we turn off the system 24 hours in advance of vaccine or medication programs, those lines are free from biofilm, free from microbial content. So there's nothing there to grow and to utilize those products as food. Hence, we then eliminate blocked nipples and reduce water flow, making your life as professional veterinarians much, much easier. You're not having customers calling you and giving out about blocked drinker lines, blocked drinker nipples. So with the use of our Aquatabs chemistry, we're maximizing drinker flow rates, maximizing water intakes, and ultimately then encouraging greater feed intakes.
All right, so if I get that correctly, once this is installed, it means that it's almost impossible to have the buildups that we have inside the pipes.
Correct. Because I probably didn't clarify exactly correct on that, but when you've got biofilms present in a drinker line, when you add your vaccines, your medication, what happens is, in particular with organic acids, that biofilms utilize them as a food. In particular, propionic acid consumes it and really encourages rapid growth, and then biofilm starts sloughing and releasing large volumes of jelly-like substance, which is blocking the drinker lines. And that's what that gentleman was relating to there. And with continuous water disinfection, we completely eliminate that factor. No more blocked drinker lines, because in Ireland, when we started using organic acids in pig farm production, we've seen all the drinker nipples blocking up. And with the use of the Aquatabs chemistry, eliminating biofilm, ensuring no sloughing and blocking of drinker nipples, and farmers were really happy after that.
And, maybe to also add this to the conversation, once you install, it's just to go and rest. Am I correct? So it's not something you actively do to get your water clean or to get it free from microorganisms or to remove the biofilm buildup. You install it just the way you install your water system, like you're installing your battery cage, put it before the cage system. And once that is done, 360,000 liters of water will have to pass through this system.
Yes, that's correct.
And as long as the water that's flowing into your farm is passing through the system, two things happen. You're sure that there's not going to be any microbial buildup. The second is that you are also sure that biofilms, whatever it is that clogs your pipe, it's out. More importantly, your bed can take very clean and safe water, can improve their productivity because you will need less antimicrobials to handle whatever salmonellosis, whatever it is, fall typhoid that disturbs your farm. One-time installation, 360,000 liters of water, enough to grow 45,000 birds. Did I hear you correctly?
45, the entire life occupancy of 45,000 broiler chickens per cartridge. And if you actually hold up the cartridge, Femi, you can see on the cartridge that on the corner of the label, there's a small little comment in gray, and it's actually keep turning. You'll find it eventually, and see there, and it says peel and reveal. Once we install the Aquatabs cartridge, we peel off the label, we stick it above the Aquatabs In-Line system so that if we have an auditor or anyone from the food safety come out to inspect our farms, that they can see what chemical is being used to disinfect their drinking water. And then that allows us to visually see those tablets. Once we have 100% flow through the Aquatabs cartridge, and we have cartridges in our tablets within our cartridge, and we have residual HOCl at the end of the line, we're effectively disinfecting that water to a potable standard.
All right, fantastic. So I see somebody's hand raised up. I'll call you in a minute. This housing unit is a one-time cost that the plumber needs to help you fix. So once you get this, once this has filtered 360,000, you will no longer see the tablets inside. Then you can just unscrew this.
And everything is hand tight, no tools, zero tools.
Get another cartridge and screw it back. The same system.
And it's really important to highlight this to people. If you put on a cartridge hand tight, and then once the cartridge is emptied, we must remember there's anywhere from 1 bar to 5, anywhere. A normal system is operating between 2 bar low, 4 bar high. So at any time, there's between 2 and 4 bar within that cartridge. And for us to be able to remove that cartridge with our hands, we must simply turn off the incoming water to the Aquatabs In-Line, let the cartridge depressurize, and then we can reopen with our hands. So it's a system that has zero maintenance, zero tools required, operates on the flow of water, fully automated, and an ultra low cost system overall. No heavy, or would you say no heavy financial burden in terms of infrastructure required. Super simple system. From the immediate minute we install Aquatabs In-Line on the farm, we're earning the farmer more money, reducing subclinical infection, reducing milligrams of antibiotics used per kilo of chicken meat produced, improving farm profits, animal health, and human health.
All right, so we're going to, okay, let me call Dr. Ayo. I'm asking you to unmute. Fantastic. Go ahead.
Good morning, Dr. Femi. Thank you very much for the presentation. Am I so audible, please?
You're audible if your video.
Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you. But can your video be on so that we can spotlight you?
Yeah, so that it doesn't reduce the. Okay,
just go ahead.
Video can be on.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my question is on the quantity of water that must pass, through the system before it is due for change. You said 360,000. Is that 360,000 constant? Because we know that we have water has different quality. There are actually some water that the quality is so bad. So, and if the quality is so poor, won't he overwork on the system, for it to
That's a really good
change, or
question.
it
That's a
must
really
have to
good
be that
question.
360,000?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I presume you're relating to the level of microbial contamination in drinking water, and that can vary immensely from farm to farm. And during our design of the Aquatabs In-Line and our expertise of 40 years of water disinfection, we found that 2 to 3 parts per million is adequate in the most terrible water conditions, and that we've never failed to achieve a residual HOCl at the end of line. Meaning that 360,000 liters of water, we're always maintaining anywhere from 0.2 ppms to 0.7 ppms at the end of line. So in terms of 360,000, we've never had a scenario where water quality was too bad for Aquatab In-Line. And that's simply because that molecular structure, HOCl, neutrally charged, a very stable molecule, and it provides the greatest level of efficacy in terms of water disinfection.
All right, thank you. So it's almost constant, but from what he said initially, once you get this cartridge and you peel it, you will also know when you cannot find the tablets there. Am I correct?
Yes.
Because the tablet dissolves once water flows through it. The moment you cannot find any tablet in there, it's time to change.
So you need to remove the label, and then it gives you full 100% view of your tablets. And then these TCCA tablets are ultra slow dissolving tablets. So what you'll see is over time, the tablets getting smaller, smaller, and smaller. And as we approach the 360,000 liter mark, they will simply be gone. And then all we need to do then is depressurize our cartridge, remove the cartridge, and install a new one. It takes 30 seconds to install an Aquatabs In-Line cartridge. It's an extremely quick process.
30 seconds. Now, so I want to talk on the tablets, the Aquatab tablets. So what's the difference? People who cannot install this on their farms, how do they use the tablets? Now, we have a few products in Nigeria that are in the market for want of privacy. I will not want to call names, but they are also in tablets. And what we usually do sometimes to disinfect tanks, we put water inside the tank, we put the tablets, allow the water to flow through the pipes, close them all through the night. The next morning we'll open the tap so that at least it can deslime whatever it is along the pipe. And then also the next morning we can now fill it with fresh water the beds can now take. So how does this work?
Those are our Aquatabs multi-purpose. They're a 1.67 gram tablet. And if we wanted to manually disinfect volumes of water, and let's talk about 1,000 liters, 1 meters cubed, we would simply apply 5 1.67s into our 1,000 liters of water, giving us a 5 ppm at the point of consumption, disinfecting that full 1,000 liters of water. And then also we could use that to prime the drinker lines, shock treat the biofilms, and remove them immediately. And then from the immediate minute and the immediate moment our animals enter into those sheds, they're consuming water that's free from microbial content, pipes that are free from biofilm. So one of those 1.67s will be 1 ppms in 1,000 liters of water. And as we say, for safe human consumption, we can consume anywhere from 0.2 to 5 parts per million for lifelong human consumption. So what we do then is to disinfect the header tanks and to disinfect the drinker lines, we would simply add 5 tablets to 1,000 liters of water, creating a 5 ppm solution, shock treating those drinker lines, shock treating and cleaning the header tank. We would then release that water and we would prime the system with Aquatabs In-Line treated water. And that means then we don't have that hypo lag period that I mentioned of 2 to 3 weeks. So from the immediate minute you enter the chickens into their new home, that they're consuming water that is free from microbial content and pipes that are free from biofilm. And these tablets can also be used in the home to disinfect drinking water.
All right, so let me get you clearly. Once you want to go into, maybe you go into a farm with a tank, 1,000 liters of water, you put 5 tablets of this.
Yes,
and then
that's
you can
5
now
ppm.
allow that water flow through the pipes, close it out for how many hours?
Correct. Well, 1 hour contact time is perfectly adequate for Aquatabs, but 24 hours is generally what people feel most comfortable with. But due to our really good and proven efficacy, a 1 hour contact time is enough to kill anything. But overall, 24 hours. And also the fact that we can, for customers who are using only small header tanks, and that it might not be profitable, not even the case that Aquatabs Flow can be used on any tank, be it 50 liters, 100 liters. But for those who maybe have really remote tanks that are ultra low volume tanks, really small water usages, they can use the multi-purpose 167 to disinfect the water as they wish. But generally, that's the rule of thumb.
Right. So,
one tablet in 1,000 liters of water is 1 ppm. So generally, we want to add about approximately 5 ppms when water is of maybe a certain color, maybe high in contamination, and that will be perfectly adequate then to disinfect that drinking water.
All right. So if you're not installing the Aquatabs In-Line, and you have Aquatabs tablet, and you want the birds to take the water, it means you just drop one of these in 1,000 liters.
Well, that's manual disinfecting, as we refer to, using our NADCC effervescent Aquatabs tablet. That tablet will dissolve in approximately 10 minutes. And once we allow it to dissolve in 10 minutes, give it a 30-minute contact time, ideally a 30-minute contact time, we can assure you then that you can safely administer and allow your birds to drink that water.
So what about humans? We have a vet here that said she joined primarily because of her. So if you have, most of us have overhead tanks in our house, is it something we can also install?
On
the
8 tanks?
In-Line?
Yeah, you can install 8 tanks or 8 on your complexes that have 8 tanks. We can install Aquatabs In-Line upstream of all of those tanks and blanket disinfect all of the water that's coming down through. Or alternatively, in farms that have high challenge and maybe don't have as good a health status, we can install 8 individual Aquatabs flows. So that if one house has poor health and they break down either with loose litter or high mortality, we can remove the Aquatabs flow from one house and not affect the other 7 houses, and we can medicate those birds independently of all of the rest of the houses. So that's a really interesting fact. If you're blanket treating in high health status farms, that's fine. But if you're in lower health status farms and 1 or 2 houses break independently and we need to medicate them or we need to vaccinate a different bird, we can simply remove the Aquatabs flow system 24 hours in advance. But ultimately, you can use either system, blanket treatment or bespoke individual treatment.
Can you use this in combination with drugs? Let's say the Aquatabs In-Line has been installed and you want to administer medications.
So as a standard procedure,
not vaccines,
but as a standard procedure, we must remove and isolate and turn off Aquatabs chemistry 24 hours in advance of medication applications. And this is because your HOCl will simply kill your antibiotics. And
right,
then
so
your
applications for vaccines,
24 hours, we must turn off 24 hours in advance of medication or vaccination programs. And with Aquatabs Flow, it's simply just screw off. The Aquatabs Flow just clicks off. And then your Aquatabs In-Line, you just simply turn off the bypass. And if you're going to be, if the cartridge is going to be stagnating for any longer than 24 hours, we simply remove the cartridge and safely decant the cartridge and put it on a shelf upside down. So for any periods in excess of 24 hours, we must remove the cartridge and decant the water and simply put your cartridge up on top of the shelf.
All right, that works. But you didn't answer a question quite well. So let's assume that I'm a vet, but I have a tank at home, and I want to disinfect my own water for my own safety.
Yep.
Can I install this between the tank and then the house?
For household operations, we would suggest using the Aquatabs Flow. Remember, 10 liters per minute flow, or 10 liters per minute is the minimum flow rate for Aquatabs In-Line. So if you've got a tank in the roof of your house, we can use the Aquatabs Flow to disinfect each and every liter of water that enters your home, ensuring that your family and your children have access to safe drinking water 24/7 through continuous drinking water disinfection. That particular device will treat 95,000 liters of water at a very minimum.
95,000 liters.
95,000 liters, going off of global statistics of 200 liters per head per day. And that system will last for quite a long time in a standard domestic household. And all of the water that we treat with the Aquatabs tablets, Aquatabs Flow, Aquatabs In-Line is certified for lifelong human consumption from birth right through adulthood. So we're adding that extra layer of security for our families, ensuring that waterborne disease is eliminated in the house.
So no, I need to get this clearly, right? Because as I said initially when we're starting, we cannot take our own water. We buy water. So what you're saying is that if we have this is the Aquatab Flow.
Right? Yeah, correct.
Yes. This small one, and we install it with the apparatus that you sent. It can disinfect 95,000 liters of water.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
And we can take it. It's safe to take it.
We can use it for cleaning, washing, and drinking. We can use it for all applications in the household.
So that saves us from this constant buying of water.
And the beauty about the Aquatabs Flow operates efficiently and effectively in pressurized systems and non-pressurized systems. As you see with InLine, we had a minimum of 1 bar and a maximum of 1 bar or 5 bar pressure to operate efficiently and effectively. But with the Aquatabs In-Line or Aquatabs Flow, it's much more versatile in terms of lower volume, and also that does not require pressure to operate.
All right, so I get to see how much is Aquatab. We'll be sending the mail. You registered. We'll be sending the mail to us how to get it across board, and then how much it. How long can the Aquatab film function? 1 to 2 years, 4 to 5 years before replacement. Okay, so what do you have to say, Shane?
What was that question, Femi?
He said, how long can the Aquafilm function? 1 to 2 years, 4 to 5 years before replacement. So I think it's.
I believe it's a 2-year shelf life. So it's 2 years of continuous drinking water disinfection.
Okay, great presentation by in Nigeria, Dr. Ghanaian Nahoro.
But true, and also we also have a product. I'm not sure if you're after receiving it, Femi, but the Septravet 17 in combination, which is it's a hospital grade surface disinfectant that we supply to many farms globally. And through the combination of Septravet 17 and our Aquatabs Flow and our Aquatabs In-Line, your veterinarians can provide their customers with a full surface and water hygiene package, serving their full surface and water hygiene needs of their customers. So for surface disinfection and also for water disinfection.
All right, somebody's stating here that we've been talking about poultry. Can it be used for aquaculture in fish farms?
We have data on aquaculture, and that we do often disinfect water in aquaculture, but it's a separate topic. We need to discuss separately, and we can meet with this person on a meeting at a later date and discuss this topic. But yes, we can disinfect water, no issue.
All right, somebody's asking, can water treated by this Aquatab be used to take human drugs? So I guess the answer is no.
Through oral consumption of tablets, no issue whatsoever. But as regard to putting an antibiotic into water, you would be best off using a carbon block filter, removing the chlorine, or if not, buying bottled water for that particular circumstance. But in terms of orally administering a tablet and taking a drink of water, it will have no negative impact towards an antibiotic.
All right, Dr. Joel is saying, beautiful presentation and insight. How affordable is this? So we'll let you know before the close of work today. What is the unit I can use to save my house for human use? So what we're suggesting is the Aquatab Flow for human consumption for your house.
Yes.
And you can disinfect 95,000 liters divided by 20 liters. Each bottle of seaweed that we buy for our house, we use 1 per day. Let me just quickly do this. 95,000 divided by 20. So with one of these, you can invariably get 4,750 seaway bottled water, not the small bottled water, not this, the one that you use for, what they call that now? I can't remember the name, but again, the big bottle that is 20 liters, you can get 4,750
Wow.
Bottles of that, and that's a lot of, you see, my head is just calculating the savings, because I'm also one person that will go after this water dispenser. Fantastic. So it can give you, one of these can give you 4,750 bottles of water dispenser.
That's a very interesting question that came up from Daniel, is in what's the long-term effects on microflora. We actually have done a trial we actually done a trial maybe approximately 2 years ago, not even that, year and a half, on a large swine operation, where we used Aquatabs In-Line treated water only versus organic acid treated water in nursery piglets. And at the end of our trial, we actually had a higher percentage daily live weight gain in comparative to the pigs that were consuming 3.5 pH water, indicating that Aquatabs positively impacted the microbiota and microbiome of the animal, and that we have no concern over negative impacts to microflora, proven through our 40 years of disinfecting drinking water, and it's approved for lifelong human consumption. So in terms of negative impacts that you would see with your calcium or your sodium hypochlorites, we do not carry those negative impacts like other chlorine products, and it's simply because of the molecular structure of the chemistry.
Thank you. So I want to give opportunities to two senior veterinarians on this call that I've just seen. I'm just going through the attendance list. Dr. Ghani Nahoro and then Dr. Bukar Usman. Dr. Bukar Usman, fortunately, worked for NAFDAC. NAFDAC is a regulatory agency that controls all drugs and vaccines into Nigeria. He's retired now and is working for the state government. Dr. Bukar, let's take you first, then we'll now take Dr. Ghani Nahoro.
It's my pleasure, Dr. Femi, for giving me the opportunity to actually say a word or two. This is an interesting actually discussion, and water quality has been an issue both for human and animal health. And as earlier you mentioned, over 90% of houses across the country now, they rely on their own self-drilled water instead of central water. And even some of the central water, because of the old pipes and rest, there are a lot of leakages and rest. So you can never actually think of their actual safety. So such measures can actually help. So one question that I have in mind, but fortunately somebody asked, and the presenter has talked about the issue of microbiome, the issue of goat microbiome, about the healthy microflora over time. What are the effects? So, but I really appreciate all the answers. So I think, Femi, thank you for bringing up this, and I will DM you later on some issues. So over to other senior distinguished colleague, Ghani MNI. Thank you.
I should have also put MNI. He's also a distinguished member of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies. Fortunately, also Dr. Ghani is also an MNI. Let me try and unmute Dr. Ghani just a moment. But they are senior veterinarians respected across the country in various fields.
And to add to that, the negative impacts that have been associated with chlorine chemistries over the years are with different species of our chlorine chemistry, which would have been administered at much greater, like 20-30-fold higher levels in comparison to the Aquatabs chemistry. And hence why we've seen this negative connection with microflora damage and chlorine, but not used in the correct manner. And we must remember with Aquatabs In-Line that we're trying to achieve a residual of 0.2 to 0.7 ppms at the end of line. So this is ultra low dosing, as we refer to micro dosing. So we'd have no issue whatsoever in terms of negatively impacting the monogastric digestive system of a bird.
All right, that works. Let me get in Dr. Gani and Nahoro.
Yeah, thank you, Femi. While I struggled to get my video on because of poor network here, this is a very fantastic presentation.
Thank you so much.
Water is life, they say it. And if we are able to begin to address the lack of use of antibiotics through very simple things like this, then again, we are also happy to deal with antimicrobial resistance indirectly. My worry had been already asked answered by you. I was worried about drug interactions. If we need to worry a bit about how the HOCI could interfere with the drugs usage, but you've already.
Yeah, guess we lost him a bit.
Yeah, and I think he's referring to, Femi, is in terms of the administration of medications in drinking water. And all we need to just remember is that we must remove and switch off the Aquatabs In-Line, or simply disconnect the Aquatabs Flow cartridge 24 hours in advance of medication practices.
So I think that's super clear. No, so the way the plumber does it, the plumbers are the people who fix our water systems, especially for farms, is that if they are connecting, they have to build, maybe you should share your screen that has the two-way bypass, again, if you don't mind. So they build it in such a way. I need to remove this, my blog background, just a moment. They do it in such a way that in such a way that once they construct the bypass, they can also build it in a way that another pipe won't pass through the system. So that once you want to administer vaccines or medications, 24 hours before then,
turn this valve off and this valve off, opening the bypass and allowing water to bypass the Aquatabs In-Line system. We would open the bypass valve and shut off then our drop-down valves, as we call them. So we'd shut off the valves, isolating In-Line completely from the drinker system and allowing water to bypass the system untreated.
Fantastic. Okay, Dr. Gani,
that's why we put it on a bypass system. And then just as a reminder, and we'll send out a leaflet with multiple points highlighting all of the key features of In-Line, and that if we do find ourselves in a scenario where water is switched off for any greater than 24 hours, we simply remove the cartridge and decant it. And then once we want to resume water disinfection again, we simply put the cartridge back on with your locking ring, and then we simply would close the bypass valve, forcing 100% water flow through the Aquatabs In-Line. Once we have tablets present, 100% flow through, and we've got residual chemistry at the end of line, we can assure you water that's free from microbial content and pipes that are free from biofilm.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. Go ahead. Okay, I think he's muted again, and then I need to ask him to unmute.
Yeah, thank you, Femi. Obviously, my concern has been addressed. If we have this double connection where you can shut off and I know this bypass arrangement, then there could be issue. But I think it's a product to line. Can I congratulate you in advance that this is a product whose idea has come?
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
So we join you promoting this. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Shane, I think we need to start wrapping up. We've answered all the questions.
Perfect.
And what you will be expecting from us as a mail to everybody who registers, of course, is the video Shane talked about. We're going to be sharing that in the link. We're also going to be sharing the recordings of this. Then we will be attaching the picture of these products, and we'll be also attaching a price. The business opportunity, I said when I was sharing the advert for this program, is that we also need people who can help us help farmers, in the sense of, you know what it takes. We're open to also discussing with you privately. We know you're directly in touch with a lot of farmers that are having issues with fowl typhoid, very harmful loads of bacteria, finding it difficult to take care of their water systems. I went to a farm in Lagos, and one of the key things I said is that if you cannot drink the water your birds are drinking, then something is wrong. But you agree with me, most of us here, not even me, can dare drink the water on the farm because it's not safe enough. This product is here to stay. And I think once we improve water quality on farms, we will invariably reduce the use of antibiotics. Once we reduce the use of antibiotics, we can also affect the lives of farmers. You can improve profits, you can improve water feed consumption, as I said. There's a lot of benefit attached to water. And I go back to what Dr. Agbaton said at the beginning of the meeting, that sometimes people don't take cognizance of something that happens every day that is silently killing them. So sometimes we fear a gun, we fear a dagger, we fear disease, but we are not afraid of water.
Yeah.
And water could be a very significant way.
And
go ahead. Go ahead, Shane.
The one thing that I'd like to emphasize to everyone here is that, and to distill this to your customers as well, that the largest nutrient that a chicken consumes in its entire life is water. And we need to have water quality impeccably good to be able to achieve the genetic potential of our animals. And if we can remove water as a varying factor on our farms, we can ensure that we're building a solid foundation for that animal to achieve its genetic potential. And that's what we're doing with water disinfection. And from the immediate minute we install it on the farm, we're earning the farmer extra money, we're improving animal health, we're improving farm profits, and we're positively impacting human health.
Fantastic. So I think that's a very good way of wrapping up. So let me thank everybody for coming. You will all, as I said, get a mail from us before the close of work today. And then if you have farmers in Ibadan, we're hosting a town hall meeting in Ibadan on Tuesday, physically. And Shen will also be present, introducing the same water quality system. But this time around, we're talking to farmers about farm to fork, profit and safety. Why not both?
Yes.
So sometimes we want profit with those animals with antibiotics. And then, as we all know, antibiotics don't work for humans anymore because of antimicrobial resistance. So we can both do profit and safety at the same time. And that's the campaign, the town hall meeting we're going to be having in Ibadan on the 21st Tuesday. For Thursday, we will be in Abuja. Shane, more than 500 farmers have registered for the Abuja meeting. So we're thinking of changing the hall because
it's too small.
The enthusiasm we have for the Abuja meeting, it's over the roof. So if you have your farmers, you can send them into our town hall meetings in Ibadan on the 21st and in Abuja on the 23rd. We will also attach the details of that program to the emails that we're going to be sending. I want to thank everyone. If you're interested in the business opportunity, partnering with us to ensure that water safety becomes a norm, not just on farms, but in our homes, I'm very open to that conversation, and you can DM me after the conversation. Shane, let me thank you for sparing out this time to talk to veterinarians, and then looking forward to having you talk to farmers on Tuesday and Thursday next week.
Perfect. My pleasure.
You.
Thanks, guys.
All right, good.